And then we have it all. Okay, hi everyone. So we're going to start in just under 1 minute. It's another exciting show. Very nice to see. So those of you who don't know me, I'm SassePhoto Chris. I'm here with Rebecca, who is a young biologist and got a lot of good input. And we have an exciting show ahead. So this is all about conservation of wildlife, mainly raptors. And hold on, there's also many quiz questions for all of you, for people on Facebook, YouTube, and also Periscope. Thanks for joining. So we're going to be live in just under a minute. Oh gosh, we were, sorry, that was me. I again forgot to put the sound. I've done it again. Okay, sorry. Okay, once again. Good evening, everyone. Wonderful you're there. I can see you can't hear me, yes, but by the time I saw your comment, you can now hear me because I've managed it again. Okay, sorry about that. But we're going to have another wonderful evening. I've switched on the sound. I finally got it. Yes, I did. So now you can hear us. Anyway, so this is Rebecca.
Hello.
And this is myself, and we're going to give you a lively, great show here. So, Jack, we have sound now. We do. Got it. Yes, we do. So welcome to all my friends, all our friends here on Facebook, on Periscope, and also on YouTube. And sorry for the typical technical blunder, which is part of the trademark that we have here. But anyway, so we have an exciting program tonight. Rebecca, what is it going to be about? Tell me.
We have some updates from the Florida nest, a bunch of news from Canada, and some exciting quiz questions.
Some exciting quiz questions, that's right. And you also have a book review, right?
Yeah, a book review too.
A book review. Well, that's going to be really exciting. So I'm so glad you're all here. So let me just give you a quick update. What you see behind there is the nest where I never went, okay? That was like sort of... well, it was more than an odyssey. For those of you who haven't seen my recent videos, there's no need to see it. I'll just summarize the trip very quickly. A trip that was supposed to be really simple, to go to Florida to visit the Northeast Florida nest, and of course, first to be in the Southwest Florida nest to see Desiree and many others there, Merlot and so on. Turned out to be an absolute fiasco. Okay, so it started 1 week ago. When I flew American Airlines, which is a very easy thing to do. I've flown so many times. If you want to fly to Orlando from Vancouver, you fly via Dallas, right? Straightforward, isn't it? And because it's the same airline, what could possibly go wrong, right? What could possibly go wrong? It's the same airline. You're in the safest hands ever, right? I've flown internationally. I've done lots of tricky things, but this is like really easy. So I got all my equipment, all my broadcasting equipment, everything, and I was so excited. Yes, warm Florida, get out of this horrible rain here and get it right into Florida. And well, we were half an hour late. I wasn't particularly worried because I was in the front of the plane. I had lots of tickets. So for the first time since long, I flew business class, which was fine. So I had all my equipment there and I was flying. And then we arrived in Dallas, and I already said, well, you think they'll wait for us? But of course they will. They know you're coming and all these things, these wonderful stories you hear when you leave the plane. Nevertheless, with my long legs, I ran through, if you know Dallas Airport, you have to take the Sky Train, right, from one terminal to the next. So it wasn't right. I had to go from Terminal C to Terminal A, which is not a big deal. It's not a big deal, right? And I wasn't the only one running, but I was the first to arrive.
Hi there.
Oh, hi there. So now Siri is saying hi there. Siri thinks I'm talking now. Okay, so that's funny. Anyway, so I was the first to arrive at the closed gate, right? That was the funny part. And I was 10 minutes before, so I thought, well, you know, they'll open the gate. But no, you know what they've done? They gave my seat away. That was really nice, right? And usually if you have a phone nowadays and you don't get a seat, it's not a problem, because what they do is they automatically put you on the next flight. Well, it was evening, so I thought this is not going to happen. They're not going to put me on the next flight. Hi, Lady Hawk 2 and Wobbies and MacLady and Lionheart. I can see you all there. So I thought it's not a big deal, right? You're just going to get on the next plane, and even if it's in the morning, I don't care if I don't get much sleep. I'm going to Florida. I'm going to have a wonderful time at the Nest, and I'm going to broadcast this beautiful eclipse, right? I had that in my head. So I lined up at the American Airlines, and my turn comes, and I just said, well, just put me on the next flight, right? That's it. Just put me on the next flight. So I assumed I would go very early on Friday morning, right? Well, there was no next flight. There was no next flight on Friday. There was no next flight on Saturday, not on Sunday, and not on Monday. So that was great. And then I said, well, what about the other cities? I mean, surely there's Miami, Tampa, whatever. I mean, there is Jacksonville. There are so many cities. What about Fort Myers, where I actually really wanted to go? Everything was fully booked. But you know what? If you wait 24 hours, I'm going to put you on standby to Miami. I thought, you must be out of your mind, really. You think I've come all this way? I've booked all my hotels and everything. And you can put me on standby to Miami. I don't know what, I don't have a car there or anything. This is absolutely absurd. So I finally agreed with them to put me on the next flight, which there was only one seat left next morning. So I spent my night on Dallas Airport, and some of you may have heard my broadcast. I was still quite positive, because at least I needed my suitcase back, because I was going to broadcast this wonderful eclipse. And I thought my chances of broadcasting in Vancouver are almost close to zero, because it always rains here in winter, doesn't it? It always rains. So I thought, but you know what? I'm going to find a solution. I remember talking to Lady Hawk and many others. Should I come to Arizona? Should I do this? Should I do that? And so on. Everybody was so helpful. And I thought, well, this is fine. I'm going to find a solution. I just need my suitcase, because all my equipment's in my suitcase, right? Oh, and then you come to the American airline desk, and I was there about 40 minutes filling out all kinds of stuff. And I think they have a dummy terminal there. I'm absolutely sure it's not wired or anything. They probably pay Pac-Man or something there. There's nothing that happens. I can't see behind there. But I'm quite sure there's no connection whatsoever, because it turned out whatever she typed in there was completely useless. My suitcase made it to Orlando the next day. I went back home. And when I landed in Vancouver, I went to the American Airlines desk, and they said, and I said, my suitcase isn't here. And I said, well, I know you are supposed to be in Orlando. So why aren't you there? And I said, well, I think I should ask you that, why I'm not there. And then I told them the story. So my suitcase in the meantime had made it to Orlando. So that's why I say they probably have a dummy terminal, a screen there at where nothing really happened. It made its way all the way to Orlando and stayed there. And I think maybe it waved to all of you, and all of you wonderful Floridians. Yes, Amanda, I was in Dallas, right? I was in Dallas, you know. I know Dallas Airport. Anyway, so frustrating. Yes, it was, but I have a good sense of humor. So 30 hours later, my suitcase comes back, right? It comes back, and fortunately everything is there. But that wasn't the end of the story. So I phoned American Airlines and asked them, in not a very nice tone, I was really upset by then, for a refund. And then she said, you can't have a refund really, because you already traveled to Dallas. Okay, so I went to Dallas, and I have to pay the Dallas ticket because anyway, I phoned them a day later, and they were very apologetic, and they promised they would refund me. So I will see what happens. So anyway, that's my trip. But let me just update you now quickly on the wonderful Florida nest. So I'm going to get us out of the way here. Just hang on one second if I can find the cursor. So I'm just going to make us a lot smaller. And let's get going now. So the Northeast Florida nest has, I mean, look at this beautiful picture here. And I just have to look at Gretchen's notes. Thank you again to Gretchen for sending me all the notes. And also Lady Hawk, already thank you, because I have again gone to your channel and looked up the Southwest Florida nest, because that is my ultimate Wikipedia when it comes to resources. It's you, right? So I usually go to your channel. I find everything I need. Anyway, so Gretchen writes to me there, and Florida's had a lot of storms. They did see the lunar eclipse, by the way, but they had a lot of storms. So she said to me this morning, or just a few hours ago, we had quite a storm pass through the Eagles, and they spent the night here. And it got quite wet. So I just wanted to show you how wet it was there. It was very wet. And that's the famous A2. So in the meantime, I heard so much has changed. Samson has left again, right? And this has been a revolving door. And this is what the picture here is really about. The Hamlets, right? It's a huge family. And this was Victoria who made this beautiful collage of all the eagles that have visited the nest. I think this must have been probably since around Christmas or just before, and have spent time in this incredible nest and wondering whether they have enough eggs to buy this nest, right? Because it's so not. But Gretchen also writes, there's no more eagle. A lot of interest, at least from the females. They just see this as a revolving door at the moment. So no egg laying probably. The next big time is going to be in August. And she has also said, I'm so sorry for your unfortunate trip last week. I was so looking forward to seeing you, Christian. Well, I can only say the same, Gretchen. By the way, this, I just have to look quickly. Glenn, she was talking to Glenn, later saw this eagle perched on the lumberyard tree, dubbed because Romeo and Juliet would snap branches of the tree and deliver it back to the nest. Yeah, so that was that. There was a lot of storm. And by the way, if you then go to let's go. Oh yeah, let's just look at the video. One sec. Let's just look at the video quickly. Where are we? Get this in, because this is. She sent me a beautiful link to this video, which I'm quickly going to show you. Which shows you how crazy it was. And this was from the 24th, how crazy it was at the nest. So this is A2 eagle style. Fly Eagle, okay, edited by Fly Eagle. I'm just going to put this, and you could see there was quite a storm there. And obviously, so much traffic with a revolving door going on there, and you can see how wet it was. The camera lens was completely wet here. It's just crazy. So really a horrific storm, and really incredible resolution from the camera here. So I have no idea who this is now, but I'll rely on your comments here. But I think I'm just going to go back so I see all your comments. I can see Facebook too, by the way. That's going fine. Northeast Florida nest is amazing. Yes, it is. It is, Maywood. It is. Manu Coding says, hi, Christian. Very nice to see you. Elaine too. Very nice. So that was very wet there. So maybe somebody knows who these eagles all are. But I think that was A2, if I understand correctly, right? So that was A2. So... Oh my goodness. You know, that reminds me, when I was on White Rock Beach, I have been amongst with completely wet myself in rain, and that's where you get the most beautiful photography of eagles, because you know, when they look completely drenched and then they shake themselves and you have these droplets because of the because of the oil on the feathers, you get these beautiful droplets on the feathers. That is so magnificent. So anyway, thank you very much, Gretchen, for that update, and thank you for Victoria and everybody else on the nest there. That was a great update. So let me just jump out and this is where I again say thank you to Lady Hawk. Who else? well, I mean, there are many of you who do great things, but I, in general, go to Lady Hawk's channel because she's been doing this diligently for many, many years. So thank you also to everybody else. But the Southwest Florida nest didn't have any better weather. And it says here, Harriet shelters babies from storm. So I'm just going to jump a little bit forward here and show you how this, I mean, look how wet it is there. This is so beautiful. This is so beautiful. I mean, these these babies are no longer babies. They are huge. They are now going through their most rapid growth. If you remember that growth curve, their weight gain at the moment is the highest from day to day. That is the highest, the highest gradient you have. But you can see the little ones are doing absolutely magnificent here. So very nice to see that. And absolutely drenched. And you can see how wet it is. It's quite incredible, but really beautiful. They are growing so quickly, so quickly. Oh, what's Lady Hawk's channel? Lady Hawk's channel, by the way, if you don't know it, here you go. So her channel is called Lady Hawk. I would love to show that to you. 21,639 subscribers, quite remarkable, absolutely remarkable work. This is the Wikipedia really when it comes to eagles all across the world, and not only eagles, but in general, she's got raptors all across the world, and she follows everything. So that's her channel. Just type in Lady Hawk YouTube, and you'll come straight to it. Okay, so that's the update now that we have. And then Rebecca, let's just see what we have. So what's the next topic? There you go.
So our next topic is on some of the poisonings on Vancouver Island in British Columbia. So just like a couple hours west from us on Vancouver Island, there's a bunch of different poisonings, some sick eagles, some eagles that passed away, and we talked to Mars Wildlife Rehabilitation Place on Vancouver Island in Merville. And we asked them a little bit about what was going on, if they could clarify some of the facts on the news, and we recorded it.
That's right. So Rebecca gave an interview, and we're going to just play the interview to you, and it tells you quite a lot. So I'm just going to switch over here.
Okay, so we're here with Kirsten from Mars Wildlife Rescue on Vancouver Island. How are you doing, Kirsten?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
I'm great, thanks. So yeah, we just wanted to thank you for taking some time out to talk to us about some of the eagle stuff that's been going on the island lately. So I've just been reading a few news articles. We thought maybe we could talk to you guys and just get some confirmation on some of the facts. And maybe I don't know what happened, but I just have what I heard from the news. So
absolutely.
Yeah, so I was reading that on Vancouver Island, both in the north and the south, there's kind of two separate instances of eagle poisonings. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so basically we are on the north side of the island. So we have had several bald eagles come in. One of them for sure has tested positive for a high lead poisoning level. And we have basically suspicions that we had a few other ones that may also be lead poisoned as well, but unfortunately they did not survive long enough to test them for lead. So our center, Mars, will actually be working with a vet down from the South Island that will be doing necropsies on these eagles to do lead poisoning tests, do liver tests, all that different kinds of things to see what's going on with our eagles up here. So, like I said, we only have one confirmed case of lead poisoning so far. We do have a lead assay machine that tests for the lead, but unfortunately it has been broken for the past few weeks, which is why we weren't able to test all these other eagles that came in. So that's kind of what's going on up here for now. And I know down on the South Island with the Raptor Rescue Society in Cowichan, they have had several eagles that were poisoned by I believe it was a carcass of a farm animal that wasn't properly disposed of. So basically I think 6 of them died and 6 of them have lived so far. But yeah, I can they had about 12 poisoned eagles from a single carcass that wasn't properly disposed of. So I believe that they were poisoned by barbiturates. And like I said, yeah, 6 of them have died, but I think about half of them are recovering. So.
All right, so I was just curious too about how these eagles were brought into you guys. I was kind of following it on Facebook a little bit, and some pages, some people had noticed there was sick eagles, and so they got a few people together to go out looking for some of the eagles. Did you hear like from people that they were going out and searching for these eagles, or did you guys get people together to go search for sick eagles, or how did you guys get a hold of these lead-poisoned eagles?
So for the lead-poisoned ones, it wasn't kind of a single event, whereas the one down in Cowichan was. So this one is kind of people phone in, they see birds acting weird, not flying, they have respiratory issues and all that kind of thing. And so, but that's just kind of been basically, if somebody sees an eagle, they're going to call us in, and then we're going to go out and either get it or they're going to bring it to us. So we've noticed we have gotten about, I believe, 4 of them that we suspect lead poisoning on. So they're from all different parts of the North Island, which is why it's kind of strange. You know, it's not not necessarily one single event or one single area that's been poisoned, I could say. So, like I said, we have had quite a few in that have had this kind of respiratory issue where they're breathing and they're making this loud honking noise, and it's kind of high-pitched, whereas normally they wouldn't be making that noise. So we got one in probably about 2 weeks ago that was having this breathing issue, and we know that's a sign of lead poisoning. So we also found, as I said, our lead machine is actually broken, so we couldn't do any testing here in-house, but we did other sorts of tests, and he was positive for trichomoniasis. So we were treating him for that, and basically we were trying to figure out what was wrong with him, even though the underlying cause may have been lead. So after the first few, we've kind of posted it and done news stories on it, and basically we're just asking people to be, I guess, extra vigilant, and say if any birds in the area are kind of acting strange or not flying or falling over and that kind of thing, then we haven't really rallied a group to go look for these eagles, but we've had so many calls within the last few weeks about possible injured eagles, that kind of thing. So that's basically how we're getting it, is just from the community. People know that when they see an injured eagle or anything like that, to give us a call, and we can, do what we can to help them.
Yeah. And then, sorry, just one more question. So do you have any kind of ideas on what would be causing the lead poisoning? Like, is it because some of the hunting seasons are open right now and maybe carcasses are being left behind with lead shot in them? Or, like, what kind of ideas do you guys have on what the cause is?
So, as I said, we're not totally sure whether or not these other eagles have been lead poisoned, but all the signs and symptoms point to lead poisoning. So we will be testing these eagles, the carcasses that we have anyway, for the lead poisoning. So we're not really sure of a specific cause, but I would say that most often that our causes of the lead poisoned eagles are, carcasses that people have shot with lead, and then say 2 or 3 eagles will feast on it and they'll get the lead pellets in their system, and then it goes from there. Or whether or not it's old lead that has been left in ponds and stuff like that, and ducks eat it, and then the eagles eat the ducks. But I think most often is from lead shot in carcasses that hasn't been properly disposed of. So that's kind of our main thing. Right now we don't really have any other leads on that. So that's just kind of what we're assuming at this point. And like I said, it's just an assumption, so I can't really say for sure.
Yeah, thank you, Kirsten. That's all the questions I have. So Christian's just going to stop recording.
Wait a sec. Okay, go.
All right, so that was Kirsten with Mars Wildlife Rescue, and so we were looking at some of the comments while that interview was going on, and Tim Phillips mentioned that in some of the states lead shot is banned. So that is true. In Canada, lead shot is not legal to use for any kind of waterfowl hunting anymore. So that helps reduce some of the lead getting into the water. It is still legal in a lot of places to use lead for big game hunting, which is a big problem. But later this year, we were thinking of talking about California is going to be the first state to completely ban lead shot in all hunting altogether this June. So that's good. We also had a question from Opa Lily, and it's related to one of our quiz questions later, so that's awesome.
Well done.
Yeah.
It's going to be, we have some really tough, I mean, Rebecca's come up with some really tough questions this time. So
yeah, I haven't stumped Christian, so.
I thought they were tough. Oh, okay. Okay. And then we have one more
and then we had a question from SW, is lead possibly in the water? And it could be, maybe if people are leaving fishing lures behind or something like that. But it is something that both Canada and US need to work on in getting those types of ammunition and sinking weights and stuff turned into a different type of material.
Right. Okay. So that was an interesting topic, as we said. That was an interview that just happened a few hours ago. So we're very much up to date. You may have heard this. Bad news often travels very quickly. So you may have heard about this sad incident. So that brings us to the next topic, Rebecca. And now Rebecca's prepared something very nice here. So I just am going to get us a little bit out of the way again. There we go. So we're going to talk about the northern goshawk. Why? What is it about the northern goshawk? I'm just going to put your presentation up here.
Yeah, if we can get that bigger.
Okay.
So the northern goshawk we're going to talk a little bit about because it's a raptor. Pretty cool raptor. It's been in the news a lot lately here in Canada on a little island called Haida Gwaii, or a group of islands called Haida Gwaii. So I'll get into that a little bit, but I don't know if you guys have ever seen a northern goshawk. They're kind of about the size of a raven. They've got short, rounded wings that help them fly through the forest because their main prey is kind of small birds and mammals that live in forests, and they live in old growth forests with lots of cover. So this is a video that Christian took. Northern goshawks are used a lot in falconry, so they're very charismatic birds, very good at hunting.
Right.
And
do you need the next slide, or do you want to?
If you go back to this slide, I'll just.
Oh, I see. Okay, sure. Yeah. We'll come back to this one. Yeah. Okay.
So there's two subspecies of northern goshawk in North America. I think if you go to the next slide. Oh, here's a goshawk compared to a Cooper's hawk. Goshawk is kind of just like a bigger, meaner, forest-dwelling version of the Cooper's hawk that you might see in your backyard hunting the birds feeding at your bird feeders.
Whoops. Okay.
So then the next slide.
Right.
So this is the range of goshawks in North America. So they're all across. Even people down in New York might have seen a goshawk before. But there's two different types. The one that's all over most of North America, and then the second one, which lives right on the Pacific Northwest coast in our dense forests, and that little arrow is just pointing at Haida Gwaii, which is a group of islands in British Columbia. So if we go to the
So Haida Gwaii, that's interesting. I've never been there. I've heard always David Hancock. How many people live there? About 50,000, or how many are there?
About 5,000.
Oh, 5,000. So it's wow, very few. Okay.
Yeah. It's I really want to go there one day. It's,
right.
Dense forests, a lot of old growth, a lot of moss, very wet.
Right. Oh my goodness. This is Canada pure, right? Absolutely incredible. Wow.
So this is the type of habitat that the other subspecies of goshawk lives in. So these dense forests on the coast. And so there's some of the moss and the dense trees.
Do you know how old these trees could be? They must be really old, right?
Yeah, it's some of the trees can live up to 1,500 years on the coast.
Oh my goodness.
So some pretty awesome huge trees there.
Wow. And what is so, I mean, how is it possible that that this northern goshawk would form a subspecies there? Let us know a little bit more. Why?
Yeah, so if we look at the map here, you can see there's Haida Gwaii again, that group of islands. It's kind of two main islands pushed together with a bunch of little islands on it. And it's about 70 kilometers off the coast of the mainland. So while the other goshawks are able to interbreed with the ones on the mainland, these ones, even though goshawks can fly very far, they're not very fond of flying over water. So they've got a lot of genetic isolation. So their genes can't transfer through other populations. So when the Ice Age happened, they would have been connected to the mainland because there was no water in between.
Right.
But then when the glaciers started to melt, it kind of cut off their access to the mainland. So biologists think that this group of goshawks has been kind of evolving separately for the last 10 to 20,000 years. So the ones on the island are a lot smaller and darker color because they're more adapted for living in that specific type of environment.
And they lived ever happily ever after, except for?
Except for,
well,
yeah, there's only about 50 of them left.
Only 50, good grief,
yeah,
wow.
on the island. So some of the main threats to these guys are logging. So they need a lot of undisturbed habitat, old growth forest. So if we cut a big patch in the middle of it, it kind of makes it harder for them to forage or to find nesting habitat.
Right.
And one of the main sources of jobs in Haida Gwaii is logging. So they need to figure out how to manage for, having jobs, but also keeping habitat for these goshawks.
Right.
Another surprising one, you wouldn't think that deer would cause that
Looks
many
very
problems.
innocent to me.
But for some reason, people like to put animals where they're not supposed to be. So deer aren't actually native to Haida Gwaii. There never historically was any deer there. And then back in the 1880s, for hunting purposes, I guess, they put a bunch of them onto the island. I'm wondering if you guys can guess how many deer live on that island.
Yeah, how many deer? So what's the total area about of that? Do you have in your head?
It's about 10,000 kilometers.
10,000 square kilometers. So that's in miles. Sorry guys, I just to convert this in my head. Well, I'll do miles 6. That's 1.6 squared. What is that? 3. Oh gosh.
I don't know.
Anyway, I'll convert it later. 1.6 kilometers to the mile, and that's squared. Okay, so that's what it is. But anyway, maybe somebody can quickly convert 10,000 square kilometers into miles. I don't have my calculator here. Anyway, so the question is how many there are. I wouldn't think there are very many, right? But I'm wrong. Okay.
Yeah, there is a lot. There is now about 30 deer per square kilometer.
30 deer? I cannot imagine that. 30 deer per square kilometer. Oh my goodness. Yeah. But I would wonder, well, I thought there would be so many hunters because that's what they love doing, right? But
yeah, but there's not enough hunters. There's not really any predators of deer on the island other than black bears. There's no like cougar or wolf or anything.
So they have no predators at all. It's crazy, isn't it? Yeah, I see Amanda saying humans have to destroy everything. I agree, Amanda, absolutely. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy? Well, by the way, if you have any island stories, share them with us. With island stories, I mean, we've heard that. I don't know if you remember the conference I was in Vancouver, where the South African was talking about a small island off South Africa that is invaded with rats, and before it was cats and so on. And that's exactly the introduction is terrible, and it was foxes and so on. So if you have any such story to share with us, please let us know. Okay, that's it's quite something. Next slide, or
So you guys might be wondering, Rebecca, why are you talking about deer?
Yes.
We're talking about goshawks. What the heck do deer have to do with goshawks? Well, the deer like to eat all of the understory brush and everything that's in the forests that they live in. And the animals that live in those bushes are the songbirds and the small mammals that goshawks like to eat. So with the deer eating off the cover for those animals, that means that there's less prey for the goshawks to eat. And one of the main sources of prey for the goshawk is on the next slide now.
Okay. Oh, wow, that's beautiful.
Yeah. So does anybody know what animal this is?
What animal is this, please? Your guess is? We're going to wait a little bit and see who comes first. We're going to see who comes first. So I'm going to look here. I can see some more questions coming. Thanks, Janny, by the way, for being the admin here. That's very, very kind of you. So whilst you are going to guess what you see here, there's a question here from Kim Stout.
She's asking, can Fish and Wildlife not put up signs to warn that eagles do eat and not to leave lead hooks, etc. in fish, etc.? I think that would be a good idea, but people don't read signs all the time. Even if we were going to put signs up, it's here in British Columbia, you have to take a hunting course, a hunter safety course before you can hunt. And they do talk about some of that stuff. So I think having the education is important, but there's always people that
okay, let's jump backwards and forwards. Susan North says
ruffed grouse.
Ruffed grouse. Jack Molan says
ptarmigan.
Wait, let's see. Let's jump over to anybody on Periscope so far. No, that seems to be a little bit quiet.
Oh, somebody said grouse or prairie
grouse.
chicken.
Good. That's excellent. So a quick look here. Let's see. No suggestions here from Facebook. Okay. So, who is right?
Skinny fowl. It is a type of grouse, and this is the blue grouse.
Beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah.
Why do they call it blue grouse? It doesn't look blue to me.
I don't know. One time I had a lady give me a good way of remembering this grouse, and it's going to sound ridiculous. I don't know. There's got to be IKEA down in the States. But the way she said it was...
Really?
Blue grouse are the biggest grouse, and they have that yellow eyeshadow on.
Beautiful.
So what's big, yellow, and blue, it's IKEA. It helps you remember that it's a blue grouse. I don't know.
and now you're going to tell me that's how they came to the name, right? But it's a beautiful bird. Absolutely beautiful. Have you actually seen these in nature? Have you seen one of these?
Yeah, I've seen the ruffed grouse.
Right.
I don't think I've seen the blue grouse, but I think I've seen the ruffed grouse and the sooty grouse.
Beautiful. Yeah. Next slide. Or?
So this is their main prey species. The goshawk like to eat grouse. And somebody called them a prairie chicken, which totally makes sense because they look just like chickens. And another reason for goshawk decline is human-wildlife conflicts up in Haida Gwaii. So people have chickens in their backyard. The goshawks go after the domestic chickens and either get caught in fencing, or the property owners end up persecuting the goshawks because they're trying to protect their property. And so this news article about the goshawk has been coming out to try and help people understand what's going on and why they need to protect their chickens properly.
Wow, that's quite a story. My goodness. Wow. Next slide? Or
what's the next?
You sure? What's the next slide?
There's another picture of a goshawk.
I'm just going to show you the beautiful
the
video. One sec. I'm just going to switch to the video. So if you haven't seen that is one of, I love slow motions. So that was one, unfortunately a little bit in the shade, but you can see this beautiful goshawk. Just incredible with a falconer here. Okay.
And Wobies says that the ruffed grouse is Pennsylvania's state bird. I think PA is Pennsylvania. That's cool.
Thank you for letting us know. Now you got a map here of Canada. Okay, see Manitoba. Right, what's up with that?
So this is the third news story about raptors we have from Canada today.
Okay, but wait, there was one thing I think that you missed.
Is there something else about the
I thought
goshawk?
There was... Gosh, now I have to remember it, Rebecca. I had it in a moment. I thought there was one more thing that you wanted, because I remember you had such an interesting story.
About seeing the grouse.
Yes, seeing the grouse. Exactly. That's right.
So Christian had said he hadn't seen one of these birds before.
Yes.
And so I was telling him about all the ones that I've seen in British Columbia. They're super common. If you've never seen one, you've probably heard one before. They're kind of a weird drumming noise in the forest.
Yes, right.
They're kind of not the smartest birds.
That's a funny one. Okay, go on.
They're pretty funny because, as you can see, they're mostly brown. This is a male, so he's more showy. But their main defense is their camouflage. So you'll be driving down a Forest Service road or walking through the forest, and you'll see a grouse, and it'll just stop and freeze, and it'll think that it's completely camouflaged, but you're just staring right at it, but it still thinks it's camouflage, and you can walk like right up to them, like me from Christian away, and it still thinks that it's camouflage, and it's just, they're really fun
That's
birds.
like the ostrich story, right? It's that's so amusing. It's so amusing.
Or if you're walking through a bunch of tall grasses and then there's one nesting in the ground, and all of a sudden it just flies up out of nowhere, and you're like, ah! Yeah, they're good.
Wonderful. Yeah, so let's jump now to the... Yeah, now we have a map here of Canada. So get us small here again. Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, so all the viewers from the United States are getting a little bit of geography lesson in Canada today. So the highlighted province there is Manitoba, and there's something that I thought was kind of interesting. In Canada right now, we're really focusing on reconciliation with First Nations, and in Manitoba, just recently, it's the second province. I don't know if you've ever been to court before. I've never been to court.
I have.
Christian's been to court.
I've been to court, but not because of myself, right? So I stay out of trouble.
So I've seen on movies and TV shows.
Yeah, right.
And you guys might know this, but in Canada and the US, if you're going on stand in court, you have to swear on the Bible, so swear an oath.
That's interesting.
So that you have to tell the truth while you're in court. And so Manitoba, just the RCMP in Manitoba, Royal Canadian Mounted Police, have just made it an option that you can swear your oath on an eagle feather instead.
That is incredible. That is incredible. That should... I'm surprised the States didn't come first with that. You know? I'm actually surprised, right?
And
so an eagle feather. Well, show them an eagle feather.
Oh, yeah.
So this is a beautiful eagle feather that I found. And now we're in Canada, we're in British Columbia, so don't throw this at me and say, Christian, that's not allowed. It's legal in British Columbia. I'm not allowed to take this across to Washington State. But it's a beautiful feather. And we found it right underneath the white rock nest, right? So, yep. So that's their beautiful eagle feather here. So, but we're not allowed to, I'm not allowed to collect eagles if that's what you're thinking next. And please don't write to me. I've had this also before, people writing to me and say, please send me eagle feathers across the border. Ain't gonna happen, okay? So that's it. Okay, so that's interesting. You can swear your oath now on an eagle feather. That's quite incredible. That's
I just saw a funny comment from D. Lionheart. He says, as if swearing on the Bible makes dishonest people suddenly get honest. Which is kind of funny. That's
a funny one, yeah. You're right, you're right.
So you might be wondering why swear your oath on an eagle feather? And so this is part of reconciliation between Canada and the First Nations.
Right.
Because if you didn't know, for a long period of time, basically First Nations children were being kidnapped by the church and, forced into kind of giving up their heritage and learning all about the church. And so to go to court and have to swear on a Bible is a little bit of a slap in the face and can be very traumatic for some of these people that went through this process. So now it makes a lot more sense for them to swear on an eagle feather because that makes a lot more sense with their culture.
I'm just seeing, you have to read this one out from Amanda. It's addressed at you. So can you just read it out? I was just Googling. Can you see it?
Yeah, so Amanda Price says, I was just Googling the picture. Cornell's site all about birds labels it a dusky grouse. There are two genetic splits of a blue grouse, a dusky and a sooty grouse.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah. So, Amanda's totally right that the blue grouse was once considered just one species, and now they've split it, and they actually confirmed that they have two separate species now, the sooty grouse and the dusky grouse. And I don't really know what the two differences are, but I do know that they are two separate species now. I'm not sure if it's just by range, but maybe Amanda can fill us in on that.
Well, that's incredible. That reminds me of a Monty Python sketch, which I really love. I love Monty Python, where it comes into the who wants to cross the bridge of death. It's a beautiful one. Yeah. And then comes the story. What is the what is the speed of a what was it I don't remember what bird it was, but anyway, and then anyway, the king answers, what do you mean, an African swallow? It was the speed of a swallow. You mean the African or European? And then the man on the bridge of death says, I don't know. Woo! And then he falls off. That is such a great one. So it just reminds me with Amanda coming in, what do you mean? You know?
Yeah.
So the bridge of death, and then there goes Rebecca. Anyway, so, okay. So we have covered that topic. I'm quickly going to see if there's another question here. African swallow. That's right. African swallow. Yeah, that's it. Gianni said that. Thank you very much. That's what it was. So those of you who have never seen that, Google that one, The Bridge of Death from one of the Monty Python sketches. Really funny. Okay. So where are we now? Let me just look at Facebook quickly. Do we have any questions here? Cooper's Hawk.
I did see a question on YouTube.
Oh, you did? Okay, yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
I missed this one earlier from T.A. Green. Wanted to know more about the geographic map for the Goshawk. The legend shows breeding versus non-breeding. And she wants me to talk a little bit more about the differences. So you can find that map on All About Birds, the Cornell website. So if you Google it, it'd probably do a better job of explaining it than I would. But basically it's just because the birds will migrate when they're breeding and when they're non-breeding. So that's why the range changes and why it shows different colors for those. Right.
Good. Well, that was certainly interesting. I can tell you I'm learning a lot through Rebecca. That's really a very nice contribution, Rebecca. Thank you very much. So what's next? Where are we now?
Book review or quiz question.
Okay, book review. Okay, so let's put it. Do you want to do the book review? Yeah. So
sure. If you guys aren't tired of hearing me.
Yeah. No, I'm going to put you right there so they can see you now. That's beautiful. I'm going to put the beautiful hawk in the background. How's that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And then we do have a picture of.
You do have a picture of the book. Oh, sorry. I guess you do. Okay. Yeah, you do.
The hawk
okay.
is prettier.
Okay.
But
Yeah. Okay. No, here. this is what we're going to talk about. Right. Go ahead, please.
Yeah. So I've been reading a bunch of books over the winter break, and so I was reading this one. It's called Almost Green by James Glaive. How I built an eco shed, ditched my SUV, alienated the in-laws, and changed my life forever. So I did see somebody was from Vancouver Island, so whoever's from BC, this is a journalist that lives on Bowen Island, so maybe you've heard of him.
So again, say the title. Just show the title again. Almost Green, right? James Glaive, right? Almost Green. So that wouldn't be the typical book I would be reading, but tell us, why did you read it? So,
well, the reason I read it is because I found it at the thrift store again. I read the back and it sounded interesting. So this is a journalist that lives on Bowen Island, and he wanted to make himself just more eco-friendly, and he wanted to build himself a studio that was like 100% green or eco-efficient.
Okay.
And so
which many people actually do, right?
Yeah.
It's not that uncommon.
You hear about movie stars doing it all the time, but this is like kind of a regular guy that's trying to do it. And so it's pretty funny. It goes through like all of the struggles he has, how difficult it really is for just an average person to try and build something like this. And so in the background is a picture of the shed that he ended up building. And
that's a huge house. It's a mansion, isn't it? No, it's not.
So it's something like 200 to 300 square feet. And I mean, how much would you expect that place to cost? Like,
oops,
I don't know.
Well, if I look at it, well, if you'd say 200, I would calculate 20,000. Let's say 20,000.
Yeah, 20,000. Like you see tiny homes.
A maximum 20,000, probably less. That's what I would estimate, right?
Yeah, and maybe we can wait a second, see if anybody.
Okay, here are your guesses. How much does this huge villa of 200 square feet cost behind us? What is your guess? Okay, I'm just going to wait a second before we carry on. By the way, thank you very much to Glenn Hazelwoody. Very kind of you to donate to the channel. That really helps us. Thank you so much. Very much appreciated. Thank you. Okay, we're going to wait a moment. I'm just going to jump between the channels and just see.
That's the one.
Okay, you got that one, right? You got that one. That is fine. I'm just going to see if there are any guesses. What do you estimate this would cost to build a completely green, well, whatever.
Yeah.
call it cottage.
Eco-friendly.
Anybody have a guess in how many US dollars this thing costs? No guesses so far. I'm waiting. We're waiting. Where is that? Somebody says $7,500, says Glenn Hazelwoody. Thank you very much. 25K says T.A. Green. Let's see if we have any other guesses. Anybody on Periscope guessing? Do we have anybody?
30,000.
30,000, yep.
On Periscope?
On Periscope, we got 30,000. Any other ones? Any other bids? Anybody on Facebook putting their money in? No one so
They're
far.
talking about Cooper's Hawk.
Oh, they're talking about they're very engaged with Cooper's Hawk. Okay. Okay, here's some more guesses. Just
so 15,000.
Lionheart, Dolly Queen, 92,000. Brenda, 50K. Susan, 5K. Jane, 50K. Amanda, 100K. 22,000 for Kathy. 50,000. 12,000. So free says good. So who? There's one person who got it spot on.
I think Amanda's Googling.
Amanda, did you Google this? Amanda.
Yeah. So Amanda and Dolly Queen were the closest.
You're absolutely right. Yeah. You got it.
About 100,000 for this tiny little studio.
Well done. 100,000. Well, that's quite an expensive cottage, isn't it?
Yeah.
So what went wrong? I mean, why did it cost so much?
So he has this super generous father-in-law that it helps him and his family out a lot. They gave him their old SUV to drive around. When they moved into this new place, they helped him build a giant carport for the SUV. But throughout the process, he needed to give up the SUV so he could help pay for the house or a more efficient car. They had to tear down the carport. They tried putting down the concrete ahead of time, and then they had to rip it out and put new concrete in. Right. It's a whole bunch of stuff just happened, and all kinds of crazy stories.
But you enjoyed it. Are you going to read something?
Yeah, I did want to read just a little portion just so you can see some of the humor in it.
That's great.
So this section here, he's talking about an old house that they had in New Mexico, and some of the problems they had with that, and kind of talking about why you'd want to upgrade your house to make it more green, because it does save you money in some aspects, but you do have to pay a lot more upfront. So this is the section I'll read. The house's infrastructure was on its last legs, but we preferred to ignore it. A new kitchen topped our to-do list. Not an expensive new furnace that we'd only turn on for 6 months of the year. Not even brutally high natural gas bills would nudge us to open that utility closet door. During one particularly Arctic winter, when Elle, his wife, was working from home, our monthly heating bill inched north of $400. And that was the thermostat set to 50 degrees Fahrenheit. I vividly remember the day she went to the mailbox and opened that particular envelope because she called me at work. "What the hell is this?" Elle demanded. It was as if a collections agency had just inquired about a secret credit card account that I'd maxed out with internet porn charges. "It's our gas bill, hun. It's winter, and you know as well as I do that our house is full of leaks and holes. We can't afford this," she wailed. I tried to calm her down. "Look, it's simple. We can spend $400 a month on natural gas until the spring thaw, or we can replace the furnace, order extra insulation, replace the doors, insulate the water pipes, and so on, which will cost us, around $30,000. "We can't afford that either." "Well, which do you want?" "I'm so pissed. I'm not giving all our money to those mofos." Elle hung up and cranked the thermostat down to the discomfort zone. For much of the rest of the winter, she worked in the home office dressed like a construction worker, wearing fingerless gloves, a down jacket, a scarf, a ski hat, and down booties. A petty act of consumer disobedience, noticed by pretty much nobody except the startled FedEx guy. The stunt brought down the bill around $100 or so.
Wow.
Yeah, so
okay, almost green. That's why it's called Almost Green, right? So very nice. Thank you. Thank you, Rebecca.
And this shed now, he uses it as a studio for his journalism, but when he's not using it for work, it's open as a bed and breakfast, which is kind of interesting. So well,
great. That's quite something. So that brings us now to the quiz part, right?
Yeah, the quiz question.
So I think we've got quite difficult ones. So I'm going to blend in the phone number. I think this should work again. So Oops, now we disappeared. Wait, let's see if we can disappear and reappear. Let's see. Yes, it does. It did actually work. Okay, very good. That's not the camera that I wanted. I wanted this one. That's nice. Okay. Yeah, we look much nicer on this camera, right? So anyway, okay. So that's the phone number. So we are opening the phone numbers. I'm just going to make sure 1 second that the phone actually works. I'm going to put the volume up. Okay, so you're very welcome. Now, this is not going to be easy, okay? This is going to be quite tricky, simply because I didn't know the answers. You probably do, but go ahead.
Right. Should I save the really tricky one for last? Or?
Okay, well, let's just open up to... I think your questions are so well thought through, and they're very much about wildlife. So start with whatever you wish. So we're opening this up to everybody. Okay, here we go.
All right, so the first one, I'll start with the tricky one. This is kind of like a biology question. So if you're a biologist, you'll probably know the answer right away. But if you've never taken a biology course, you might have to think a little bit. So this is all about eagles, and kind of it's winter time, so it's cold. When I go out snowshoeing or hiking and I'm not properly bundled up, you lose dexterity in your hands, and it's not fun. But eagles, obviously, they're hunting in icy cold waters for salmon all winter long. But somehow they manage to keep that dexterity, which is really important.
Right.
So the question is, what is the name of the process that allows eagles and all birds not to lose too much heat through their feet? And I can give you a hint. It's a 3-word term.
Okay.
So I can repeat that.
Okay, so that's quite a difficult one, right?
What is the name of the process that allows eagles and all birds not to lose too much heat through their feet? Yeah, don't Google.
Yeah, in 1 second. Yeah, well, let them Google. I think it's quite a difficult one.
It is.
You know what? I'm just going to get my phone. Just hang on, Rebecca. You go on, entertain everyone. I'm just going to test whether the phone really works. Okay, so just in case they say I'm not getting through. Okay, so just think. Oh wait, I've got my phone here. This should work. Okay, let's just carry on. So that's a difficult one. That's quite a difficult one. Let's just see if I can phone myself here and just make sure it works. 1 second. By the way, thank you very much, Carrie Miller. Very much appreciated. I'm going to see if... Oh, there. Oh, it works. Okay, I don't need to do anything. Nice. Okay. Okay. Hello?
Hello?
Oh, hello, this is Christian and Rebecca. You are on our show. That went very quickly. How are you and where are you calling from? Who is this, please?
Hi, this is Brenda Randall.
Brenda Randall, very good. We saw you. Well, that is great. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from the Gulf Coast of Mississippi.
The Gulf Coast of Mississippi. How is the weather there?
Weather's great.
Which means, is it humid? I don't know. Mississippi I always think of humidity. Am I wrong?
Yes, it's humid.
Okay, it's humid, right? Okay. Okay.
It's humid, it's nice.
Okay. Well, I'm just trying to put the microphone a little bit closer so we can hear you better. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so here comes the question again, Rebecca.
Yeah. So what is the name of the process that allows eagles not to lose too much heat through their feet?
Okay, the answer is counter current mechanism.
Awesome! Yes! Good job!
You are great. Now, just honest, did you Google that or look on the internet, or did you know this?
I didn't Google it. I have a veterinarian husband who told me the answers.
Awesome. Good for you. You brilliant. Absolutely great. Well done. And thank you so much for calling in. That's fantastic. So please, at the end, don't forget to give us your contact details. Okay, so we can send you a picture. So stay on the line. We're going to then spin the wheel so you can win something. Okay?
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Brenda. Very nice. Great answer. Thank you, and have a good evening and a lovely weekend. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay, thanks. Bye. Wow. By the way, thank you very much to Klingen Warbird and someone else. Hang on, Sorry, let me just see. For further donations, very kind of you. Let me just scroll up. Yeah, Carrie Miller too. Thank you so much. Very kind of you. It all goes to make our channel even better. That was amazing.
So just in case you guys didn't hear, the answer was countercurrent mechanism or countercurrent exchange.
Now, do we have a picture?
Yeah, we have a picture of this, so we can next one after.
There we go. Okay, so I'm just going to put you on the screen so we can. Oh, sorry, that's the wrong mouse here. So yeah, please, I'm just going to put our this out for a moment so you can hang on and make ourselves not visible. There we go. Okay, so just explain, please. So
I just want to tell you guys what Maureen's other name for this mechanism is. She says footsie thermoregulation. That's not the right answer, but it's a good one. Footsie
thermoregulation. Okay, so what are we seeing here? What are we looking at?
So the way that it works, it's not just birds. Other animals like coyotes will use this too, or anything that spends a lot of time walking through the snow. So what happens is as the blood travels away from the body and down through the leg, the veins and the arteries are so closely packed together that the heat leaves the artery and heads back into the blood that's heading back towards the body. So as the blood travels towards the end of the foot, it starts to cool down, and the heat is conserved by going kind of drifting into the blood heading back into the body.
Right, I would call it, as a physicist, I call this thermal heat transfer from the artery to the vein, right?
Yeah.
Which is absolutely fantastic design of nature. We're not designed this way, right?
No.
We're not designed this way. Well, that's brilliant. So you actually don't worry if you get a cold foot. Well, we do worry if we get a cold foot. Mm-hmm. And that's actually a wonderful explanation. My envy always when I see ducks in winter, how do they do it, right? Very nice. Thank you, Rebecca. That is a great, really great contribution. So let's get to the next question.
All right, the next question. So the next two have to do with some of our news stories from today.
Okay. So I'm blending, wait a second, I'm just going to blend in the background again, so not to confuse people. Here we go. Yeah. Okay, you have to sit up. You're so small.
I'm so short, I can't.
You have to always look over. Okay.
Okay, so the first one, we talked about how the Manitoba RCMP offices are getting the eagle feathers so that you have the option
of... You have to tell them who RCMP are.
Oh, yeah.
They don't
Royal
know.
Canadian Mounted Police.
That's it, yes.
So
yes.
the police. Yes. So they're getting eagle feathers, but it's illegal for me to own an eagle feather or basically any kind of general public person unless you have a permit.
Mm-hmm.
So the question is, what piece of legislation or act makes it illegal for me to own an eagle feather?
Yes, and what you're saying here is this is throughout North America, right? This is not a Canadian legislation. You're talking about a North American legislation, right? So it's the same. So what is it? There's a special name for this, right? So here's your wait a second. Let me just put back the phone. Okay, so here you go. Again, once again, Rebecca.
What is the name of the legislation across North America that makes it illegal for you to own eagle feather without a permit?
Without a permit, right? Okay, so that is there's a certain name for this act, right?
Yes.
What is it called? Not an easy one, but when you hear the answer, you'll say, "Oh, I knew that." That's what I said.
Yeah, we've talked about it on the last few shows. So.
Yes, we have, and David Hancock would have mentioned it many times. He would have. So this is the question for you. Not an easy one. So go ahead. What type of act? It's really a legislation. Could that be?
Did we spin the wheel?
No, we're going to do that at the end. We'll do that at the end. Well, we can do that in the meantime. Whilst is there any probably veterinarian or biologist who knows the answer? Yeah, these are tough ones, but that's what it's all about. I mean, it's about education. And here comes an incoming call. Fantastic. Okay, let's see. Hello. Hi, this is Christian and Rebecca. Who is this, please?
Hi, this is Woody. Glenn has a Woody.
Glenn Hazelwoody, you are it again. Thank you, by the way, very much for your donation. That's very kind.
I love to support you, Dr. Sasse. Thank you.
Oh, that's so kind of you. Again, just tell us, where are you calling from?
Well, I'm calling from 1 mile up from the Mon River, where the Hayes Eagle Nest is.
Oh, yes. Beautiful area. Hi, I heard a little voice there in the background also saying hi.
Yes, that's my grandson who loves to watch also. Thank you.
Hi, little grandson. What's your name?
What is your name?
Brian.
Hi, Brian.
Hi, Brian. How old are you, Brian?
Brian is 5.5, loves Eagles, and is in kindergarten.
Wonderful, Brian. That is so nice. Well, now comes a very difficult question. Rebecca, please repeat the question. Let's first repeat it.
All right, so the question is, what piece of legislation across North America makes it illegal for myself to possess an eagle feather?
Would it be the North American Migratory Bird Act from 1918?
Yes, you even got the year right.
Oh my goodness, you are absolutely, and I've seen them also in the chat, by the way. Some people have said it very well done.
You've encouraged me to read, Dr. Sasse, so thank you very much.
Well, then I should follow your example. I should read more. Absolutely. I do read a lot, but I never read enough. I really don't.
I'm doing it right now. Have a great evening.
Thank you very much. Very kind of you, and well done. So stay on the line. Yeah, stay on the channel.
Okay, I will.
For later. Thank you so much. Fine. Bye. Wow. That was great.
We got some smart people calling
Very
in.
smart people. This is going much better than I thought. I thought we were going to sit here all evening, but no. That brings us to the third question. How are our we haven't seen anybody on
They've been guessing a few.
Yeah, a few guesses there, but I've seen the answer in YouTube. I'm just going to see if anybody guessed it on Facebook. I can't see this. Just David Edwards saying, hi, Christian and Rebecca. Hi, David. Very nice to see you. Susanna is there. First found warm-blooded fish. Here she goes. She's a biologist. I know her. Very smart in Belgium. Very nice to see you. Super smart. She knows all the answers because she works for the European Commission. I know that. You smart. It's very nice to see you, Susanna. Wonderful. All right. Well, she knows all the answers. I can tell you that for sure. And she speaks so many languages, Finnish and French and so on and so on and so on. Just endless amount of languages. Very nice to see you. Okay, let's jump back and see. So we got the final question now, right?
Yes.
Go ahead.
So the final question is related to the northern goshawk. And if you speak Latin, this is the question for you.
Oh, here we go. Okay, this is a Latin question. Okay.
All right, so the Latin name for northern goshawk is Accipiter gentilis. So I'm totally saying it wrong, probably.
Okay, well,
we
let's
can pull
just
up the name.
I'm going to try and get the name in very quickly. 1 second. Let me just jump out. And I know you had that right here. There we go. So
it's going to be hidden by the...
Yeah, well, let's...
Oh, yeah, just
well, you know what? I'm going to just see if we can get a picture in here. No, that's not the one. That's the other one. Okay, so I'm just going to get the number out of the way a second, and I'm also going to get us out of the way. There we... No, it's okay. So there's the Latin name, okay?
So Accipiter gentilis, and the question is, what does the word gentilis in this Latin name mean?
Yes. So what does the Latin mean? Well, gentilis. What implications does this have really for the northern goshawk? Let's see all our smart. Where is Susanna? She's the smartest here. Where is she? I don't know if she's still there on YouTube, but I would expect her to put in. On
Facebook.
On Facebook, she'll put on the answer immediately, knowing her. But let's see who comes up with the answer. Who comes up with the answer here?
Put the phone number.
Okay, I've got to put the phone number back on. So just repeat the question once more, Rebecca, please. And I'll put the phone number back in.
So the question is, the Latin name for the northern goshawk is Accipiter gentilis. What does the word gentilis in the Latin name mean?
Okay, so we're going to put the phone number back in here, and there we go. So that is the question. Gentilis. What is the meaning of that word? And Oh, what happened now to... Oh, there it is. Oh, I hate this. I did this wrong again. Sorry, I got rid of our Facebook page. What? Sorry, I'm just getting that one back. Online. Let's see. There we go. Okay. Okay, so let's see who can... So please phone in again, right? You saw that you can see the number at the moment. So who knows the answer? Who knows the answer?
Should I tell them what it doesn't mean?
Yes, tell them what it doesn't mean.
So you might think that it means gentle, but it does not mean gentle. It means something else.
That is too easy.
That'd be way too easy.
Yeah. And these are good questions. They're very challenging questions. So hopefully, you'll be like me. You go out of this show and you've learned something. So... Yeah, nobody's dialing in at the moment. That's interesting.
Nobody speaks Latin.
Yeah, nobody speaks Latin. Hang on, I'm just going to put another picture in the background quickly so that I can go to the phone just in case it rings. Okay.
So I can repeat it. I'll repeat it again.
Yes, just repeat it again. Okay, repeat it.
So the Latin name of the northern goshawk we talked about earlier is Accipiter gentilis. And the question is, what does the word gentilis mean?
Who named it like that anyways, says Dolly. Who named them like this? Well, that's where the Latin came from, right? It was all, that's how they built up all the names of the species and so on, because Latin was the main language there. Mm-hmm. So yes, that's the reason.
And because the Spanish common name might be completely different from the English common name, so having one Latin name just makes it the same for everybody.
Right. Okay, is there anybody who dares answer this one? Strange enough, this takes longest. Well, go and Google it. Yeah, that's my advice. Try. I'm surprised this one is taking long because I would think this would be the easiest of them all. Right? Same family, yes. Well, no, that's the same. What was that? The family name, right?
Accipiter.
Yeah, Accipiter is the family name. Yes, it is. It is. That's right. That's right. Good. That's right. Okay. There's someone who put an answer there. I'm not going to say that.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, why don't you call? Why don't you call? I think some people are getting very close here from what I see, but. Just give a call if you can. If not, we'll just give you the answer and then we'll leave that one. I Googled says Klingenwolbert. Okay, well, that's fine. You can Google it. That's okay. But, anybody else who wants to call him, I'm going to wait one more minute. And then if not, that's okay. Then we have 2 winners today. That's also fine. Is there anybody on Periscope?
They said exotic, and that's it.
There's
13 people there.
Okay, so I think if there's nobody who's going to call in, I'm just going to look on. Yeah, there's nobody who's calling in. Susanna says, shall we try barbaric? You have a good sense of humor, right? That's so funny. Okay, that's very good. Okay. So I think nobody's going to call in. Well, Rebecca, reveal it. I mean, and also explain why, right? Yeah.
So if we look at kind of the root words, so gentle, and we think of English words that use the same thing, like gentleman, it means coming from a noble clan. So gentilis means coming from a noble clan. Wow, so this is beautiful, isn't it? I wonder why they chose that for the northern goshawk. Why would they do that? Do you have any idea? So it's such a beautiful way of naming it, right? Maybe because a lot of falconers use it. And
right.
It's important in a lot of cultures, so seen as a noble bird.
Try and put the bird. There's this beautiful bird, so I'm just going to blend out the... So there's this most beautiful raptor there. So, yeah. Well, so that's fine. So that's quite okay. We have 2 winners anyway. So what we're going to do now is we're going to spin the famous wheel. And I don't unfortunately know, since we have no guests, I'm going to rely on Rebecca today to say stop somewhere. Okay, so let me just put in the wheel in the background, and I'm going to make us a little bit smaller. Like, oops, no, that's the wrong one. What? Oh no, now we are double. Okay, I get this wrong. There we go. There, that's me. Thank you, by the way, for Jenny for designing this beautiful thing. A wonderful helper today. Thanks for doing this. It's quite incredible. So we had 3 great quiz questions, and we're going to spin now. The first wheel was it for Maurice? I think. Yeah, was that right? Do you remember?
I can't remember the name.
Yeah, okay. Well, Glenn Hazelwoody was the second one. Okay, but anyway, here we go. So we're going to spin this and let it spin for a while. And then at a certain point, you're just going to call stop.
Stop.
Okay, that's number 30. Well, if we still have Jack Mullen here, he will recognize this. This is a beautiful picture from Dutch Harbor, from Alaska, right next to the Eagles, just a few meters or about 10, 20 feet away from all these beautiful Eagles. That's the first time I see anybody winning this. So thank you very much to our first winner. Okay, so that is it. So we're going to go on spinning the wheel.
Stop.
Okay, also another one from if I recognize this correctly, that is, I think, also Dutch Harbor. So congratulations anyway for winning this. It's really been absolutely wonderful. So yeah, so that brings us already to the end of the show. I can't believe that we have again spent 75 minutes here on the show. It's incredible. Well, thank you so much. Oh, this is always so stupid when we appear double here. It's all my mistake. There we go. As midgets and as giants, okay? So anyway, let's put a nice picture in the background too, like that. And I would like to say thank you very much to everyone.
Yeah, thank you guys for watching.
And yeah, thanks for watching. So next week is going to be the final week. We're going to talk a little bit about the Stellar Sea Eagle and a little bit about Japan, because inevitably I'll try and get David Hancock also next week. I mean, you know, he's such a brilliant biologist. See if we can get him shortly on, at least remotely. I don't know if he's going to come here, but just to talk a little bit about the journey ahead to Northeast Japan, which is coming on the 8th of February. I promise you, I will not... If I have Wi-Fi, I will broadcast whatever I can. It's going to be very cold up there, extremely cold. But that's where the Stellar Sea Eagle is. David Hancock, through his contacts, has organized the most amazing trip. I'm taking a huge video camera along. I'm going to do a documentary on this, and I promise I will give you incredibly original material that we probably never have seen before with this. So it's quite an epic journey. I look so much forward to it. That's going to be from the 8th to the 25th of February, and we're going to talk next week about it and other subjects, of course, too, right? Okay, well, thank you very much, everyone, for being on here. It was a great show. Well, thank you. You've made the show great. This is all about you. Oh, yes, and Jenny says to me, please send us an email at info@sassemedia.com. I'm really bad at saying this, info@sassemedia.com. You know, if you're a winner, or just put if you don't know, info@sassemedia.com, just write to SassePhoto@gmail.com. That will also do the trick. Okay, so I'm first going to say thank you very much to our Facebook friends and wish them a lovely weekend. Thank you very much. And then we're going to say goodbye to Periscope. So that's for YouTube push. just scroll up there, and that's it. Thank you. Okay, that's it. And then finally, the YouTube decommissioning is a little bit more complicated. I have to go. So thanks for everyone on YouTube. Yeah, you cannot wait, Susan North. Neither can I. I mean, this is such a fantastic journey. So thank you very much for being on the show, and have a great weekend. I'll see you next Friday again. Bye-bye.
Bye.